Okay, well, welcome. I'm Connie Prodromou. I am a licensed acupuncturist by trade, and I have a master's certification in intuition medicine. So I've been in practice since the year 2000, and I do acupuncture, but I went into it with the intention of doing energy medicine with it because that's what saved my life way back when. Years ago, I was in my 30s. I had all sorts of health problems. I was, muscle pain, joint pain, bone pain, terrible digestion, headaches, frequent colds. I was a wreck, and I was exhausted all the time. And I went to all the regular doctors, the real doctors, and they did all their tests, and they said, nothing's wrong with you, you're just getting old. And I said, 38's not old, sorry, I'm not buying that. So at that point, I knew I had to think outside of the box, because so much of the time, I know I was raised, this is what you do in life. You grow up, you get a job, you work 9 to 5, you go to the doctor when you're sick, and there were certain rules and regulations, but they weren't working for me anymore. So I had to open my mind to other possibilities. So I ran across this chiropractor who was doing energy medicine, and she determined I was allergic to everything. So it's like, okay, that's why I feel terrible. And then once I started going to her, I started feeling better. And at one point early on, my brother goes, it's all in your head. And I said, so what if it is? It's working. It's the only thing that's working, and they're giving me hope and something to help me. So that's how I got into this, because prior to that, I was an economics major in college. I was a workers' comp auditor for 20 years. I was very left brain, very analytical, and that's what I thought worked. You figure out the solution and you move on. Well, again, when you can't figure out the solution and you keep trying the same thing and it's not working, you have to try something different. So that's basically how I got here. And then I decided I wanted to help other people, because there were way too many people with the same complaints that were getting told the same thing. There's nothing wrong, or you're depressed, or these crazy diagnoses that they were just guessing. So in my practice, I went to acupuncture school for 3 years and got my master's Masters of Science in Traditional Chinese Medicine. And then in 2011, I got my master's certification in intuition medicine. So I thought, well, good to hone the intuition, because I've used muscle testing in much of my work. But the intuition part could always use help. So everybody is born with intuition. We just don't live in a culture that encourages it. So we don't learn how to use it or even recognize it. So there are a lot of things that happen to you every single day, because Betsy was just saying that you were thinking of you wanted to learn a muscle test, and then she gets the email, learn how to muscle test. So that kind of thing is intuition. Deja vu is intuition. Some people are clairvoyant, where they can see things. Some people are clairsentient, where they feel things. If I go into a place which really chaotic, I feel it in my entire body. I just feel this vibration. So knowing is another type of intuition that's one of my stronger ones, where it just comes like as a thought. You ask a question, you just let it go, and then just this thought pops into your head. And it's like, okay, did I make that up? Well, no, it was really your intuition. So I'm going to start by doing a guided meditation, get you all grounded in your body, because that's a really important piece of accessing your intuition and being able to muscle test and being neutral to everything. So let's start there. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Okay, I'm going to do the guided meditation first, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit about energy, and then we'll get into different types of muscle testing. We'll do a little practicing, and I have a handout I'll give you at that point, so you can have this to take home and then practice at home, and then we'll wrap it up. So that's the plan. And if you have any questions during the presentation, you can certainly ask, and we'll try and answer your questions. So for the guided meditation, I invite you to close your eyes, okay, and get real comfortable, okay? And then I invite you to take a couple of deep cleansing breaths and just let go of your day. So just take a deep inhale and exhale. Hello, welcome. That's okay. Have a seat. Okay. We just started a little guided meditation, so you can get settled, and then we'll get. All right. So I'm having people close their eyes and then take a couple of deep cleansing breaths to just let go of their day. And I invite you to find that quiet, peaceful place of stillness deep in the middle of your head. So going back behind your eyes and then between your ears, and then drop down and back little by little until you fall into that quiet, peaceful place of stillness. And if you're not sure you're there, just imagine that you're there, and I'll give you a second to try and locate that area. When I find my meditation sanctuary, my whole body relaxes when I get there. So in that area, whether you think you're there or you're imagining that you're there, I invite you to create, visualize, imagine a place that you love to go that is healing, calming, nurturing, your happy place, your favorite place to be. And I want you to paint that picture there or create that vision in that area. And then we'll drop a grounding cord from the bottom of that area to the center of the earth to anchor it to the center of the earth. And just follow along with my words. Don't think about it or get worried if you don't think you're doing it properly. Your subconscious will guide you if you're not sure. So just allow things to flow and however they will, and don't get too hung up on anything. The next thing I'm going to do is call all of your energy back into the present moment by throwing a big gold net of energy across your past, present, and future timelines, across all universes, all realities, all phases, levels, and frequencies, bringing back all pieces and parts of you that have been scattered about, and filtering out anything that doesn't belong, doesn't serve you, isn't for your highest good, bringing your energy into a big ball above your head, and allowing it to filter back into your body, filling every space, every cell, every part of your body to the edge of your skin and beyond, returning your energy to yourself and bringing you into present time. That's a real important step, because a lot of times we're thinking about what happened yesterday or what we have to do tomorrow. And it's really important to be present for any kind of accessing your intuition or muscle testing. The next thing we're going to do is deepen and widen your grounding, your connection to earth energy, which is a very healing, calming, nurturing place to be. So we're going to visualize a grounding cord, whatever your choice is. It could be a giant redwood tree, it could be a Golden Gate Bridge cable, it could be a waterfall. Just choose what seems appropriate to you, and we're going to visualize that grounding cord a little wider than your body, and we're going to visualize it connected to your tailbone at the base of your spine, and we're going to visualize and imagine sending it deep into the center of the earth, thousands and thousands of miles down, all the way to the very middle of Mother Earth, to that special area where your initials are, where we will anchor your grounding and connect you to the healing, calming, nurturing energy of Earth. And then we'll draw a big gold circle around the outside edge of it to define it and contain it. Now we have all these energy centers called chakras, and if you're not familiar with them, we have some at the bottom of our feet. And we're going to imagine and intend that we open our feet chakras 100%. So just visualize or imagine them opening like the lens of a camera, 100%. And we'll start drawing that slow, deep resonance of earth energy up into your feet. That warm, pulsing, mud-like energy, very calming, very nurturing, very healing. Allowing it to expand into every space, every cell, every part of your feet to the edge of your skin and beyond. And then up into your ankles, calves, knees, thighs, hips, and then first chakra at the base of your tailbone, and drop it back down again like a giant waterfall to the center of the earth, taking with it anything that doesn't belong, doesn't serve you, isn't for your highest good. We'll do another revolution of that earth energy, allowing it to fill your feet and your ankles. And if you have pain or discomfort or inflammation in any of those areas, just saturate it with a little extra earth energy. It can be very healing. And then up into your calves, knees, thighs, hips, first chakra, and then drop it back down again. So that cycle will continue on its own to keep you grounded and connected to the earth. This next time we're going to bring up that earth energy. We're going to weave it into the outside layer of your aura or your energy skin. We all have an aura. We just maybe didn't know about it. And that's going to define it, strengthen it, heal it, and ground it. So we're going to weave that into the edge of the aura. We'll put a big thick bubble of universal supreme being energy or source energy around that to help keep your energy in and others out. And then let's surround it with a beautiful border of rose bushes, which will also be protective because there will be thorns on those roses, but also beautifying. So just imagine, and most people can imagine, so just imagine what that might look like. And then we're going to go above your head inside your aura. So your aura is equidistant from your body all around you, front, back, right, left, above and below. And we're going to imagine above your head inside your aura your life force energy. Everybody has life force energy. We're going to clean it up a little bit, we're going to amplify a little bit, and we're going to allow it to flow down both sides of your spine all the way to the tip of your tailbone, where we will mix it with the earth energy and then run it up the front of your chakras, pulsing a little into each chakra. So we'll go to the first chakra just below the pubic bone and pulse a little into that chakra. Go to the second chakra at the belly button, pulse a little into that chakra. Third chakra at the solar plexus, pulsing a little into that chakra. Fourth chakra at the chest or the heart, pulsing a little into that chakra. Fifth chakra at the throat, pulsing a little into that chakra. Sixth chakra at the third eye, pulsing a little into that chakra. And then seventh chakra at the top of your head, which is the only one that points upwards. And then into your aura, filling it in concentric circles of this healing energy that we all have within us. Okay, so that's a basic setup I do with the clients when I'm working with them, because it's very important to be in present time and to be grounded. Being grounded enables you to be in sync with the universe. It enables you to have good things happen in your life without any effort. And being in your meditation sanctuary, same thing. When we're stuck in you can all open your eyes if you want now. If you're stuck in your analyzer, which is like your forehead area, that's where the crazy thoughts keep going round and round and round, and oftentimes we can't really find a solution or figure things out, so we need to rely on the universe to give us other options that we might never have considered. So what we're trying to do is get out of that left side of our brain, the analyzer, and into the right side where things just flow on their own, just like I said, in sync with the universe. So I'll give a little introduction about energy. Energy is everywhere. We live in a matrix or fabric of energy that goes around the whole world. If we didn't have energy, we wouldn't be alive. Energy moves our blood, and our chi is different from our blood. So when you get acupuncture, it doesn't necessarily bleed, because those are the energy meridians, not the blood vessels. So there are a lot of different names for energy: chi, prana, life force. There's a lot of different names, but it's all the same thing. It's the energy that makes us alive, and the energy that runs the world. So just a little example, if you want to rub your hands together really quickly, and you'll see most people will generate some heat, that's energy. And then if you just take your hands and gently bring them, and you get to a point where you can't bring them closer together, and that's kind of your ball of chi. And you could play with that. But basically the heat is energy, and then you can actually create this ball of energy. So that's just a little example that you can do. So as I said earlier, what is intuition? Well, everybody has it. Some are more developed than others. We talked about déjà vu, clairaudience. Some people hear things, some people see things, some people feel things. And some people just have a knowing sense. Some people foresee the future. They have a little hit on something and then it happens. Or everybody's probably had that situation. Had that situation where you've thought of somebody you haven't thought of in years, and all of a sudden they call, or they just appear. I had that at the grocery store yesterday. I thought of this friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a long time, and I'm walking to my car, and there he is walking to the grocery store. So it happens to everybody. We just don't recognize it as intuition, but it's there, and that's part of the problem. Is we don't think it's any big deal. We think it's a coincidence or just some strange occurrence, but we don't really give ourselves credit, because it really is intuition. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to muscle test to access that intuition, that subconscious part of our mind, so that we can get a unbiased answer to things. And of course there will be situations where it's hard to be neutral when you're testing, but that's real important. So a few things that you need to do for muscle testing to make sure it's as accurate as possible. You need to be hydrated, so drink water before you try and muscle test yourself. The whole meditation that I just did, being grounded, is very important. That's a good way to live your life, or if your day is going crazy and you're just kind of at wit's end with crazy stuff happening, you might want to go somewhere, sit down, and just ground yourself. Just visualize that grounding cord connecting to the center of the earth. And it only takes a couple seconds, and then you go back to your day and it's like, oh, things are much better. So you have to be hydrated. You must be in present time, which we did. We brought all your energy back into present time. We grounded you. It's important to be in your meditation sanctuary because that is the part that is more like your subconscious, as opposed to your conscious analytical mind that really interferes and has its predetermined answers to things. So it really gets in the way a lot of times. I don't know how many of you had the situation, but if you, there's a problem in your life and you keep trying to solve it, but you keep doing the same things and it's not working. And at some point, most people say, you know what? I surrender, universe. I don't know the answer. I don't know how to get the answer. I'm open to something different. And then all of a sudden, you might have a dream, a thought might pop into your head, and all of a sudden something appears that isn't in your normal day-to-day life that is a different option. And it's like, or you talk to somebody like, oh, I went to so-and-so and that I had a really good experience, and they say, oh, I never thought of doing that. And things come up when they need to. So the other thing, and we'll do this when we do muscle testing, but you have to check your polarity, because your polarity is your energy flowing evenly and unobstructed. And I do it by putting when I have clients, I do palm down, and that should be strong. So when I muscle test, that should be strong. And when it's palm up, it should be weak. If your polarity is off, your muscle testing is going to be inaccurate as well. So not too long ago, I had a little kid come in. He was like 8 years old, and we had his father hold his hand, and I'd muscle tested through his father. Well, when I did this check on him, he was strong, and he was strong. And I said, did you fall recently? And his dad goes, yeah, he fell off the playground or something. And I said, oh, well, his polarity's off. So you just do a little correction of tapping like that or tapping like that, and it usually corrects it. If you have, I had somebody come in the other day, she had a concussion since the last time I saw her. So we had to do a little bit of this, and we had to do energetically a body balancing that I do in my office. But your muscle testing is going to be inaccurate if your energy is kind of confused at the time. So when we learn muscle testing, we'll learn how to check our polarity. So why would we want to know how to muscle test? Well, it can be really useful for checking out what vitamin you should buy at the store, or which one's the best one for you, or how many you should take every day, or is it working anymore? There's a lot of things I check for, like people say, well, I started taking this supplement, it was really helping, and now it's not doing anything. And I will check and I'll muscle test if it's still 100% effective or not. And I find it's not, and I do some little clearing to help become effective again, because otherwise you're wasting your time and your money trying to take this thing that's not working anymore. So a lot of times people have that with their medications too. So people come in and, oh, I don't think this is doing it anymore, and I'll check, and I said, yeah, it's not. So if you really think you need to take this, then we better fix it, because it can help make it more effective and also minimize the side effects. I also use muscle testing for, life decisions. If I'm at a restaurant and I don't know what to eat and I'm not sure what I feel like, should I do this side? Should I do this side? And it really helps, because sometimes I order something and the minute I order, I say, oh, I really don't want that. I don't feel like eating that. But if I muscle test, then it can help. So you could go to the store and say, okay, I need a vitamin C. Which one is going to be the best one? And you could kind of use your hand to scan and just get a sense of, you'll have. If you learn to tune into your subtle energy, you might have a little expansion or some kind of hit that, okay, let's see this one. And if people bring 2 vitamin C's in, for instance, I can check to see if they're allergic to it, sensitive to it, having a negative reaction. I can check to see if it's effective. And if the 2 both test that they're okay, I can also ask which one is the best one for you, because sometimes your body still has a preference, and it's like they're both good, but this one's a little bit better. So that can be really helpful. Some people want me to test bigger questions, and I've been instructed in my life never to test, am I pregnant? Is it a boy or girl? I'd like certain things you just don't want to go to. You do it for yourself, but don't do it for others. So everybody is capable of muscle testing. It just takes practice. You need to be really neutral and not be biased, because it's like, I really hate this, I don't want it to test well for me, but I'm going to use, and the big thing is, you don't want to think about the answer, you want to allow it to come to you. You want to sense it. You want to either sense it by muscle testing or feel it in your body. So I have a little handout I'll pass out, which gives you several different types of muscle testing that you can try, and usually out of these, people can usually find one that works for them. Okay.
Could you explain a little bit more what you mean about allowing the answer and not trying to get the answer?
Sure. And that's kind of a direct thing from intuition school, when you're working on somebody or you're working on yourself, and you ask a question, and then you're like, what's the answer? And you're trying to find it out here. Usually you're chasing it away. So it's just really good to be relaxed and be grounded and back in your meditation sanctuary. And then just like, sometimes I'll pose a question and might not get an answer right away. And maybe the next day the answer will pop into my head, like, oh, I never thought of that. So sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. Muscle testing, it usually does happen more quickly than, just posing a question, a kind of an open-ended question. But it's just being relaxed and not getting all hung up on, getting the answer immediately, or if you don't like the answer, trying another one. Before we start the muscle testing, another thing, and somebody was talking about this earlier, the answers can change. So these are not carved in stone. So I test this vitamin today and it tests really good, and I need to take 3 of them, and I test it next week and my body doesn't like it at all. Well, a lot of different variables have changed. So you can't ensure that it's always going to be 100% accurate. It's going to change with whatever's happening in your life. So you don't want to be too hung up on it. I ask a lot of underlying questions if I get an answer like, why is it coming up this way now? And I'll ask a lot of different underlying questions to find out why is it different. Like sometimes, for instance, people, in my office, people might have some digestive problems, and I'll ask them, what are you eating? And if it's summertime, people can often tolerate salads. And if it's, but most people have a hard time with cold, raw foods. And so I ask them, especially if it's raining and damp, I probably wouldn't want a salad for dinner tonight because it's cold and damp. And I'll tell people, pay attention to the weather, pay attention to the season, pay attention to a lot of different things, because in the summer your body says, yeah, bring on the salads, I love salads, I can handle them. And in the wintertime your body's probably going to want more warming food. So you have to look at all the different variables that are happening. And then also I ask people, this comes up a lot, I have a client that calls from Washington and she goes, I'm allergic to everything. Again, everything I eat I'm allergic to. And I'll say to her, all right, slow down. I know I've worked with you for many years. What's going on in your life emotionally? Oh, nothing, everything's fine. Well, my husband doesn't feel well and he's got no energy and blah, blah, and he's on all these medications. And the truth finally comes out because there's emotions that throw things off. So that's another factor that you have to consider. But we're going to try and keep it simple and not worry about things like that. So I will demonstrate, and I'll have you also try these different types of meditation, and then we'll practice a little bit. But I've done this muscle testing workshop in the past, and people have always found one of these methods that works for them. And so you just find out what works best for you. So first thing you want to do is, this is the standing type of muscles testing. Oh, I don't know what order I have this one in, sorry. All right, so standing muscle testing. So what you're going to do is you just stand kind of balanced on your feet, right? And then you kind of follow your energy up from your feet, up your legs, up your trunk, up into your head, and then about a foot above your head. So if you need to put your hand up there, just focus your attention up there. And then what you're going to do is, I have some samples of things that, so you'll take whatever it is you want to muscle test and you will hold it So you'll hold it in your hand, you can hold it to your solar plexus, and you just sit there and you just say, the truth is. And if it's not good for you, you'll fall backwards. You're not pushing yourself, you just absolutely fall backwards. And if it's good for you, you'll fall forward.
Is that a pack of sugar?
It is a pack of sugar. So I have sugar, I have all these artificial sweeteners, I have all sorts of things, and most of them don't test well. But I taught this to a client's mother who was visiting from Oregon one time, and she went home and she's running around the grocery store grabbing everything and doing this test and everything. And she's, oh, I know what to eat now. So it can be really useful if you just even go to the grocery store and you do this with organic produce and then you do it with conventional, you'll probably see a difference in how your body reacts to it. So that's a pretty simple one. If you want to stand up and practice, I can give you all a packet of wonderful sugar, and you could just see what that feels like. So first, before I hand you the sugar, just stand up and get balanced. Don't have your feet too close together. And then just take a couple deep breaths and just relax. And then a good way to do all these muscle tests is say, show me yes, and then just see what happens to your body. And for most people, that would make your body fall forward. And try and keep your attention a foot above your head. And then you say, show me no, and allow your body to give you the answer. So sometimes that's an easy one for people, sometimes it's not. You seem to get it. Here's some Splenda, wonderful stuff. Here you go. There is one in here that does test well, so I don't want to give anybody that one. I'll give you a sugar one. Splenda. Seemingly good, but not. More sugar. Wait.
Stevia.
Yeah, but stevia is different. Mm-hmm. The one that's cheap is not the good one. I'll give you a hint. Don't buy the cheap one. All right, I'll give you this one. Okay, watch it if you're on the stairs. You might fall down. You might want to come down off the stairs. So close your eyes and then get really balanced and hold that maybe in your solar plexus area and just ask the truth is and see what happens. And don't think about it and don't try, just allow your body to just do whatever it's going to do.
It's amazing.
Isn't it? It's an easy one. It's an easy one. Some people could do it with just their head, and their head can go back and forth. Or I find the body easier. So, okay, so.
So can you answer the question?
What I say is the truth is. So you could ask, is this good for me? Is this for my highest good? And you could say the truth is, and then let it come to you. Okay? Now, somebody, if you want to try this one.
Do we need to keep our eyes closed? Or?
It's kind of helpful to cut out all the stuff around you. It might make it easier to focus on what you're asking. So try that one and see what happens with that one. See that one? That's the only kind of stevia that tests well. It's because it's got no maltodextrin, no refined sugar, it's got no other crap. So I also have, and I'll let you practice with that one too. I probably should let you keep these because I'm going to have more testing, but.
It almost feels like I'm kind of in neutral.
Yeah, you might not like it, but it has less crap in it than the other ones. Yeah.
But I'm not leaning.
Yeah.
I was like that because I had erythritol or something, which is not as toxic as sugar for you, but it's not great.
Yes.
It's not it's like aspartame.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of going back and forth, and then the decision was made. So.
Yeah. Well, generally, no sugar is good. Fructose in the fruit, in its raw form, in its real form, is good, but when they take it out and they sweeten things with fructose, it's not good. Because, okay, so take one of these. And then do this test with this. And see how this tests for you guys. Oh, there's enough. I have 2 extra. Okay, so do the same little test and then let me know the outcome. So close your eyes, just ask, is this for my highest good? And then the truth is, and see what happens. Ooh, you get a no? Okay, interesting. It's distilled water. So for most people, it's probably neutral or it's okay. But distilled water, if you just drink distilled water, you leach all your minerals out of your body. So you probably don't want to drink that on a regular basis.
I gotta know.
You got a no too?
And I got a note instantly.
Okay, we'll
I was
see.
trying to figure out if that was legitimate, but
No, it is legitimate because,
I got a sideways.
I'm actually low on some minerals, so that's probably.
yeah, and your body doesn't want to leach anymore.
I mean, you could-
It's distilled water though. If you got water out of your cooler, it would probably test better.
Oh, just even better.
Well, yeah, because like I have a water filter at my house, so that water tests much better than tap water. 'Cause tap water has all sorts of things in it. So you could take, like I said, you could go to the vitamin store and you could just pick something up and you could test it to see. It can be pretty accurate. So that's one type of muscle testing. So you guys can all sit down again, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Now, if you wanted to use that, but wanted to figure out how many, you just take 2 and hold them and.
Sure. And then how many, some of these other tests are easier to do for how many. But yes, you can always dose it out like that. So you could use that for anything and just, how many per dose and then how many doses per day because it could be different. But yeah, you could absolutely do that. So the next one is O-ring testing. So in this one can be challenging for people because I make you got me? Okay, so I make a circle with my index finger and my thumb, okay? And then I use my thumb on the other hand to test. And the good thing when you're practicing, ask, show me yes, show me no. Now on this particular version on muscle testing, some people's yes is strong, some people's no is weak. For me, it's yes is weak, no is strong. And I set that intention beforehand. So when I muscle test you, even if your yes is usually strong, you go by my rules when I'm muscle testing you. So it goes by my game, not yours. So I ask people to be neutral and don't think about the answer because then they kind of get in the way of the answer. So you just practice, show me yes, show me no. You can ask, is my name George? Is my name Pete? Is my name Cindy? Is my name Connie? You could ask simple questions that you know the answer to, but don't ask it from your analyzer. Ask it from back here and just be really neutral when so you have to practice how hard do you have to hold your O-ring and how hard do you have to pull. And it's kind of like a little dance and you'll get used to what the proper strength to hold both parts are. So that one takes a little bit more work, but that one for me is the fastest, so I do that at work a lot. So practice with questions you know the answer to. And I like the show me yes, show me no, because that seems to be a really simple way to define what you're going to do. Sure.
do you also focus above your head?
You don't necessarily have to, but basically being grounded and then bringing all your energy back into present time and being back in your meditation sanctuary is really helpful in all this because then that keeps you out of here because our conscious mind lies. So I'm talking to you like this, that's conscious communication. And so when I muscle test people, I don't look them in the eyes because that makes a connection we don't want. We want to talk to the subconscious mind, which is the part that is usually more honest, but even that can lie. So I have questions, I have follow-up questions when I think, that doesn't make any sense, I don't believe that, and I'll ask, a few more questions down the line. I'll say, oh, see, your body was like trying to trick me. So, that's why it's really difficult to say this is 100% accurate. It's probably not going to be, but I know enough from years of using this, when I get an answer that doesn't seem right, I ask a bunch of different follow-up questions and come in from different directions, and then I usually get clarity. But in the beginning, their body's like, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to be imperfect.
So when you do this, are you holding the substance?
If you're going to hold, it's like you could hold like the sugar in one hand and test like that, yes. Or you could say, I want to test my phone, and you could point to the item. But if it's small enough and you can hold it, then I would definitely recommend holding it, because then you could hold like 2, 3, and when you're dosing, you hold 1 and it's good, and you hold 2 and it's good, you hold 3 and it's not good anymore. It's like, oh, okay, so I need 2 because 3 was too many. And so dosing is like the next step when you're muscle testing. First it's good for me, it's for my highest good, and now how many should I take? And so you can follow that up. The next one is autonomic nervous system sensing. So this is real subtle energy. And actually it was funny because in the previous workshops I've done, some people, this was their best and favorite, which is, I think it's a little harder. So this one I would invite you to close your eyes. And again, you're imagining your grounding cord, you're imagining being back in your meditation sanctuary. And for this one, I invite you to think of something or someone that you love a lot, that is your favorite, that makes you happy, and just kind of see in your body if there's an area that lights up or that reacts to that. So just think of something that makes you happy or that you really love a whole bunch. Okay, did anyone feel any kind of subtle shifting in their energies? Okay, what did, yes? Big? Yes, exactly. That's usually what people feel is an expansion in their heart energy. And it's very, very, very subtle, but practice it. Like think of something that's like your favorite and then just kind of allow your whole body to sense some, maybe it's going to be another area that might light up, but usually it's your heart chakra that lights up, okay? And it expands. You could feel an expansion, an opening, like a welcoming of whatever this is, okay? And then we're going to let that thought go. And now think of something that is disturbing or that you don't like or that really bothers you. And again, sense in your body what's happening and where you might be sensing that. That's probably an easy one. I think most people can think of something that bothers them these days. So anybody got where they felt it or what they felt in that one? Yeah, usually it's the third chakra and it's more contraction or protection, closing in. So it can be very subtle, but it also for some people can be very clear. So you could practice with that one because that's also an interesting one because you can get more in tune with subtle energy is just what it sounds like, subtle energy, and we aren't really trained to pay attention to subtle energy. So this is a little exercise in getting more familiar with your subtle energy. So that's a fun thing. Yes.
You're saying ask the question and see which of those.
Yes. Well, yeah. So you could say, you could just say, is this for my highest good, and then you can kind of feel what happens in your body. So you could hold the item, or you could ask the question about the item. Okay. All right, any other questions on that one? All right, so let's go to the last one first and then we'll go to the arm testing because that's for two people. So hand O-ring test, this is another variation of the O-ring testing. So again, you're gonna I make it with my middle finger and my thumb on this one, okay? And then I make with my fingers, my two fingers and my thumb, I make this little, it's going to be like a little puppet. And you put those fingers in there and you ask the question, show me yes, show me no, show me yes, show me no. So sometimes that's a little easier than the first one I showed you. So that's another variation of the O-ring test that can be good. Okay, and so again, you could practice with that. You could either try and hold the item in one hand or you could just reference the item like, is that good for me? And see what happens. So that's another one you could practice, show me yes, show me no. There's a lot of other different ways for muscle tests. Some people do this thing with their, I don't know, this one never worked for me. I don't know how to do that one. They can see a difference in pushing their finger down. This is like their muscle they're testing, but that one never worked for me. But there are a lot of other different ways. There's also dowsing, if anybody's good at dowsing in the pendulum, but that takes a little bit more time, so I didn't want to touch on that one. But dowsing can be very helpful and accurate as well. So the next one is going to be for two people. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we have 10 people. So if you want to stand up and get a partner and just face each other one person sit, one person stand. So I'll just come over here and demonstrate for a second. So you can put your paper down. And then this one, you would have the person hold their arm out, lock their elbow, and you're going to ask them to match your resistance. So you're going to push down lightly, and then they're going to try and keep their arm at that level. Okay, and on this one, I'll have you put your hand on top of your head, and then I want you to resist, and then flip that hand over, and I want you to match my resistance. See how you're good party trick. Like I said, this is a polarity, so this should be strong, this should be weak. And so if, for instance, it was strong, then something's going on. Maybe you fell, maybe you hurt yourself, maybe you just haven't had your polarity checked in a long time and you're bent off. And people a lot of people can sense it. They just feel off. They just feel something's not right. So you can practice if you want. You can have one person sit, one person stand, and then I'll just show you And it's not a muscle strength test. You can sit down and I'll just show you so you know how to do it. But I did a health fair at the Golden Gate Transit, so there's like 6'8" bus drivers that weigh 300 pounds, and I put coffee or chocolate in their hand or sugar, and they go, how'd you do that? I said, I'm not stronger than you. What are you doing? I said, I'm just showing you that's not good for you. So sometimes you have to remind people that it is not a strength test. It's your subconscious we're testing. So if you really stay neutral and out of your head, you could see how clear that was. It was very clear. So you could do that on yourself. You could do palm down, and you could do your whatever muscle test you like, and then you could do palm up, and you can, so that's how you would check it on yourself, okay?
Wait, how would you do that with?
Okay, so first you put your palm down, and then you choose a muscle test, and you check it, and one should be weak, and then this one should be strong, and this one should be weak. So you just reference that test, So, so there are several different ways to muscle test, several different uses for muscle testing. And then, does anybody have any questions before I move on? Yes?
Can you repeat how you put yourself back into polarity?
Oh, okay. Good question. Okay, so if you find that you're strong, or you're feeling kind of odd, you do a little bit of this, karate chopping your hands together, okay? And usually that's sufficient, but if that doesn't work, you can tap under your nose. That's a good one. And then there's also the cross crawl thing, which kind of links up your right and left hand, your brain to your, you should do a little bit of that too. My brother and I used to coach the little boys' baseball team, and we'd have them do all these exercises before the game, and they loved it. And it really helped them because they were like 8, 9, 10 years old. They were all over the map. So we were focusing them with some of this stuff, and it worked for them. It worked for us. So the big thing is to practice, and just practice maybe all of them at first, just because you don't know which one's going to be your favorite. You may at first say, "Oh, this one seems to work for me," but you might use others as a double check. So, practice all the different ones that you've learned. And then again, if you're getting answers that they don't seem right, they seem a little suspect, make sure you're grounded, so you're connected to the center of the earth. Make sure you're in your meditation sanctuary back behind your analyzer. Make sure that all your energy is in present time, and just try and be neutral. So, like, is this cell phone really bad for me? Well, that's kind of a biased question. You really want to say, the truth is, and then, use it. So, and you can check cell phones on people. Mine has a protection on it, so it should be strong. Other people's, even if they're off, there's a battery in them, and so cell phones, I took a class one time, and it was at a campus where they had a long hallway. We put our cell phones at the end, and we asked how close we could get to our cell phones before we were adversely affected. 30 feet. I mean, it was bad. Then we used our little pendulum to clear it, and then we could get right up to it and hold it. So it's interesting. Yes?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to ask about, because I noticed, I felt like my own mind was affecting my response. So is there a way to write on, a piece of paper and fold it up, or a few questions and mix them up, so you're not actually even seeing what you're asking
you could certainly,
yourself?
yes, you could do that. You could do that.
It seems like I'm
Sure, because just the question itself, you're kind of biased about. So you could certainly do that. And you really have to be neutral even when you're picking the questions and trying to get the answers, because you could still be affecting yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's the most important thing is to be really neutral when you're doing the testing, and then also be open to the answer, whatever it might be. And so that's why being grounded and being back in your meditation sanctuary helps you access that information a lot easier. And like I said, that whole practice that I did in the beginning really enables you to be in sync with the universe, and things just start falling into place for you. Doors open, thoughts come up, people appear, things just happen without effort, and instead of trying to figure it out and make your plans and all that. So that can be really helpful. Jonathan, did you have was that
Quick question. Sorry.
That's okay.
in terms of the question you ask, I mean, you said, you know, you want to ask the truth is, but is there a way that you formulate the question so that?
I would say like if you're testing a vitamin, you know, is this vitamin for my highest good? And then you say the truth is, and then you could do that. So you could ask the main question, and then before you do the test, the truth is, and that will give you, hopefully direct you to the truth of whatever that answer is. And play with it in lots of different areas of your life, and you know, you'll get better at it, and it'll start coming more naturally and more easily, so it can be a really fun tool. Any other questions? Are you sure? I did a really good job then, huh? Okay, so a couple things I wanted to let you know about. On Wednesday nights, normally I do a guided meditation on the telephone to help spread peace and love and healing into the world, because in the end of January, I had 8 bouts of vertigo in 3 weeks, and I was on the floor for 4 hours with my eyes closed because I could not move. And about the third time, I said, universe, what are you trying to tell me? What is going on here? And I got fear and powerlessness. And I said, okay, I gotta stop watching the news, I gotta start doing something positive. So I started to do this meditation, and I make it as simple as possible. It's on a free conference call line. You do it from the comfort of your own home. If you can't do it at that particular time, you can call in and listen to the recordings. So there's a flyer in the back for that if you're interested, because we're trying to spread love and healing and peace throughout the world, because we need all the help we can get these days. Seems like every week I say, okay, now we need to send more love and healing to this person or that area of the world. And so it's just my little effort to help do something good, and it's all free.